Jenifer Lewis, your pussy so hot. But I can't be mad at you, girl, because you had such a great life, girl. I wish that I could have been as free as her. Now, like I told you, her pussy was hot. My pussy was lukewarm. Well, hello there, love bugs. Hello there, Bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share to Facebook, subscribe, and visit uptopbeauty.com. Today's lookies would be our shades in our lips. All lippies are $10. All shades are $10 or $15. Why don't you go over there and check out the sale? We trying to get rid of all our old stuff so that we can get in some new stuff. But I know y'all digging these shades. Ooh, I call them my Safax Village shades. Ooh, if you from Southwest, you know what's up. Now, let's continue talking about Jenifer Lewis, the mother of Black Hollywood. A memoir. It had been 10 years since Mahalia Jackson had transitioned, and I knew if anybody was running around heaven, it was her. In my book and those of many others, she is the greatest gospel singer that ever lived. This amazing songstress created the blueprint for 20th century gospel, building worldwide appreciation for the genre through her tours and many albums. I also admired her for her political activism. She was there with the civil rights movement from the start and sang at the 1963 March on Washington, just before Dr. King gave his famous I Have a Dream speech. Mahalia was everything. Among all my mother's albums, Mahalia Jackson was the one I would play over and over and over. This woman was so embedded inside of me, I felt her joy was mine, and that her sadness played into my own. I listened intensely and began to mimic her voice. But Esther Morrow, not I, was given the lead, and I was tapped to understudy the role. I was thrilled and honored to be a part of the production, which included Danny Beard, a singer I became friendly with, the fierce Keith David, and Keith David, is that Satin Throat? Is that Satin Throat, y'all? Is that my man? Is that Kirby? My God. It's Keith David. Do y'all know I have been in love with Keith David since I seen him in that movie, The Thing? Not that newfangled version, the one in the 2000s. I'm talking about the one in the 80s. I think it was like 1981 with John Carpenter was the movie director guy. Oh, and who was he with? Kurt Russell. Oh, I didn't know that Keith David came from the theater. And my close friend, Tucker Smallwood, Ebony Joanne, and Yolanda Graves. To my surprise, during rehearsal one day, Danny became unnecessarily rude to me, commenting snidely while I was at the piano, mocking me in the funeral march scene. I'd heard he'd been doing a lot of boogity-shoogity. I stepped to him and warned him about karma. My spiritual studies with Phil had inspired me, and I was working to get the rage out of my soul. A couple of hours passed, and Danny was all up in my face again. I broke and said, "That was some fag shit, you know." Y'all, that boy slapped the pure shiz out of me. I didn't return the slap because deep down, I probably knew I deserved it. Plus, fighting with my hands is not my thing. Fighting with your hands is not your thing? You don't remember when you was in baggy pants not too many videos ago, Miss Jenifer DeLewis, where you grabbed that lady by her throat and then threw her across the room because she said that you wasn't that good? Okay. Instead, I turned the other cheek, smiled, and went to put cold water on my face. Oh, that shit hurt. When I told Mark Brown about the incident, he said I asked for it for using that awful slur. Mark's response cut deep because I wanted his respect. I didn't intend to be homophobic. A faggot, in my mind, was a nasty person, not a homosexual. Poor excuse, I know it. It sickened me that I once said that terrible word in anger to someone I loved. Now, let me say this, okay? Back home, y'all know I'm from D.C. Listen, man, if you from home and you know how we treat our gays, okay? If you put in work, you're going to get that respect. Like Lonnie B is very well respected back home. The show premiered at the Hartman Theater in Stratford, Connecticut. I had decided that in order to get through the run of the show, I just wouldn't speak to Danny or Thomas. But on the show's third night, an hour before the curtain went up, Thomas burst into my dressing room, looked me dead in the eye, and said, Esther's been in a car accident. She's all right, but do you think you can go on? Even though my stomach turned inside out, and with anxiety, I looked at him with the confidence of a great Helen of Troy and proclaimed, you know goddamn well I can do it. When the show moved to Boston the next week, I was just about to try to make formal amends with Danny. But as we stood backstage in the wings where it was very dark, Danny started taunting me again. I ignored him until he deliberately stepped on my foot. Rage welled within my soul as I reached for a broken steel pipe leaning against a nearby wall. Let me tell you what this girl did. She talking about she don't use her hands. Girl, I don't know what you're talking. This girl, she's so pissed off at Danny, okay, that she sees a pipe leaning on a goddamn wall, goes to grab the pipe to bust him upside his head. Girl, you would have killed him, Jenifer. She picked up this lead pipe, and instead of her swinging it at the dude and busting his head open, when she picked it up with such force that she bonked her own self in the head and knocked her own goddamn self out. Even though I had performed in 2 Broadway shows and to adoring audiences across the nation, I was not prepared for the opening night response to Hot. Every seat was filled. You know, Hot is the one-woman show that her friend helped her write. When I ended up, every seat was filled. When I ended my final note, my vision went into slow motion as the audiences began to clap and rise from their seats. I left my body for a split second, and when I refocused, the roar of the crowd's applause and shouts grew incredibly loud. It was my first electrifying ovation, not unlike the one I received at Carnegie Hall in 2014. She said, girl, if you ain't seen it, you need to Google it and check it out. During the summer, Quitman, who is her best gay friend at the time, and I both got parts in Pennsylvania's stage production of Ain't Misbehavin, the Tony-winning musical tribute to African-American composer Fats Waller. I won the role that had made Nell Carter a star. Rounding out the cast were Tanya Pinkins, Lenny Godfrey, and George Bell. You know I love Nell Carter. Ain't Misbehavin'. I don't know how is it that she sings completely through her nose and it still sounds so good. She is the most nasally singer, but I mean, baby, ain't misbehaving.
Lester Young was a hugely influential tenor saxophonist who came to prominence with the Count Basie Orchestra in the 1930s. Prez, as he was known, was a close friend of the legendary Billie Holiday and accompanied her on several recordings in the late 1930s and early 1940s. Soon after reuniting with Billie for a CBS special in 1957, Young's alcoholism caught up with him, just as Holiday's addiction would soon catch up with her. During the final 2 years of his life, his companion, a woman named Elaine Swain, took care of him. Elaine wasn't a musician, but she was well known in the jazz circles and dated several high-profile musicians during the heydays of jazz. She also was a good friend to Holiday.
When I met Elaine in early 1983 at the Red Apple grocery store on 54th and 8th, she was probably in her late 70s. Let me tell you what she said. And I'm going to be this lady. I'm sure we all going to be this lady. But especially when you're retired and you ain't got shit to do. Everybody at work and you at the damn grocery store comparing, peanuts, right? And any chance you get, you talk to a stranger because you don't talk to nobody. She making jokes with the cashier right now. The line is taking longer, but it depends on your mood. Sometimes when the line is taking long, sometimes you hit the can somebody call management? Or if you having a good time, then you don't mind being in line, right? But she said, meaning Jenifer Lewis, said that she was so taken by Miss Elaine that her and Miss Elaine became good friends. That day that she was holding up the line, cracking jokes, she actually helped Miss Elaine walk her groceries to her apartment. I was enraptured by Elaine's tales of Billie Holiday and all the other famous jazz musicians she had known. For instance, she told me that during Billie's later years, she had become fed up with white people and refused to sing Strange Fruit to predominantly white audiences. Okay, so let me say this. If you don't know what we learned and what we've been learned when I did that Billie Holiday video, quick documentary, Strange Fruit wasn't written by Billie Holiday. It was written by a white man teacher, okay? All she did was sing the words. Why are you so mad at Billie Holiday for? Here was someone from the golden era living in one room. And I wanted to take care of her in the name of all the musicians who paved the way for people like me. Elaine had her own struggles with alcohol, and once when she opened her front door butt naked, I saw that her body was covered in liver spots as a result of years of drinking. Damn, I didn't know that. I didn't know that when you see white people covered with them little brown spots, that was from drinking. I did not know that. I continued to build a name for myself through a series of one-woman performances. Towards the end of 1982, I was asked to do my show at Don't Tell Mama, the newest cabaret in the city. The Saturday after my Don't Tell Mama debut, Mark and Bobby came to my place at the La Premiere to watch Whatever Happened to Baby Jane for the 100th time. I was in heaven sitting with my friends, all of us talking to the screen and offering commentary. The phone rang, and I thought, how dare someone assumed I would be home on a Saturday night? Girl, you was home on a Saturday night.
It was Bonnie Bruckenheimer calling for Bette Midler to say they wanted me to be a harlot, one of Bette's backup singers, and could I be in LA on Monday to start rehearsing for a 3-month tour. Bonnie said that Bette would call you back shortly.
Her duties is like, oh, baby. That is the divine Miss M. What are you going to do, girl? Now, keep in mind that she is already working on her own show, all right? That's a tough decision to figure out, am I going to let go of my own thing in order to garner more recognition for someone else? Is that what I want to do? So she's torn. Wide-eyed and shaken, I squeezed in between Mark and Bobby on my little love seat, and the three of us looked at the phone for 10 minutes until it rang. Hello? Hello? This is Bette Midler. Nice to meet you. We really need you over here on Monday. Can you get your understudy to go on for you? Her clipped tones sent a shiver through me. I had only heard Bette's voice on albums and on Johnny Carson Tonight Show. As I gathered my response, I could feel the tension and excitement emanating from Mark and Bobby. It's a one-woman show, Bette. There is no understudy. Her answer was, oh. Not congratulations for having your own show at the leading New York cabaret, or I'm so happy for you. I heard you are great. Just a curt, oh. followed by an unsaid but clearly implied, "So you're all that, huh?" In the Jenifer Lewis's eyes, she's all that, but I think she's all that too. And it started from there. The dynamic of mutual admiration combined with sheer competition between me and Bette Midler. The first time I met the divine Miss M in person was at the SIR studios in Hollywood. It was supposed to be a rehearsal without Bette, just us three harlots. We were in the middle of singing Pretty Legs and Great Big Knockers when the music suddenly stopped. Bette entered the room. She was dressed casually, but very much a star. All I could think at the moment was, what presence. There to survey the new recruits, she chatted with us a bit in a fun and fabulous way, but also with an air that conveyed that she was all about business. Soon as she was saying, "Come on, girls, get in those mermaid fins and pull up a wheelchair. Let's get this shit in tip-top shape." When I joined the tour, 83, Bette was at the height of what continues to be an amazing career. By that time, she already had won 2 Grammy Awards, 2 Golden Globes, and an Emmy, and had been nominated for a Best Actress Oscar and awarded a special Tony Award. I studied her from the wings and talked to her every chance I got. Her vocal talent and comedic timing were peerless. She was funny, fun, artsy, and smart as hell. She always had a book in her hand.
Bette immediately clocked that I was plenty crazy, but she respected me and honored my talent. I wanted to be the best harlot she ever had, and she knew that. She featured me, but in a mask. She wasn't about to let my charisma and star quality upstage her. Yet she loved to have me entertained during her breaks or at parties. She'd often ask me to do a monologue or a song from my show. Bonnie Bruckenheimer, who went from Bette's assistant to her producing partner, told me I was one of the few who could make Bette laugh out loud in those days.
The tour 83 was sort of a mixture of rock and roll meets Broadway. We did 46 cities in about 3 months. It was incredibly fabulous, but exhausting, even for my young 26-year-old body.
I fought with the other harlots, Siobhan O'Carroll and Helena Springs. We 3 were replacing the harlots who had done the wintertime portion of the tour. There was plenty of drama, stupid shit. Once I threw my hula hoop during rehearsal and had to apologize the next day.
We had a rollicking time, but Bette never allowed our antics to compromise the show's professionalism. Believe me, we snapped to attention when the divine Miss M arrived. The tour started out in Philly and East Coast locations. When we got to Saratoga Springs in upstate New York, I had sex against a sugar maple tree with Ed Love, the choreographer. A few days later, he showed up backstage with another girl. Bruh, it's like I can't be mad at her though. It's like, damn, it's like, oh, Jenifer Lewis, your pussy so hot. But I can't be mad at you, girl, because you had such a great life, girl. I wish that I could have been as free as her. Now, like I told you, her pussy was hot. My pussy was lukewarm. The tour started out in Philly and East Coast locations. When we got to Saratoga Springs in upstate New York, I had sex against a sugar maple tree with Ed Love, the choreographer. A few days later, he showed up backstage with another girl. So that was that. Until we got to Montreal a couple of weeks later, and I had a menage a trois with Ed and Billy, with whom I toured in UB. I also had sex with one of the band members, but his enormous healthiness stayed pretty soft. Too much booger sugar, I guess. That's not my words. That's her words. I told y'all, when you dealing with somebody that gets down with that boogity and sugary, It's a task. When all is said and done, Bette Midler probably had a greater impact on me than anyone else I have worked with. She polished my game and upped it several notches. She validated me and confirmed what I knew about my talent, especially the fact that Jenifer motherfucking Lewis does not belong in the chorus. Be it as a harlot, an Icat, or Ronette. Honestly though, the experience of observing Bette's artistry and getting to know her as a long friend made it all worth it. Toward the end of the tour, Bette gave me a wonderful gift of original sheet music from an old Ethel Waters song. In turn, I gifted Bette a black Raggedy Ann doll. She named it Killer. Prince came to see the tour at the Greek Theater in Los Angeles. During the after party at Spago on Sunset, I found him in the back in the dark.